delighted to welcome the Conservative Work and Pension Secretary, Chloe Smith, who joins us down the line. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm going to have to ask you first of all about what's been happening in the markets overnight. The pound slumping to a record low against the dollar of $1.03, back up to $1.07 now, but huge implications for the cost of commodities, oil, gas, and a big concern about the government's cost of borrowing going up by the moment. Your reaction?
Well, it's difficult for me to give you commentary on market movements, and obviously, as you know, market movements do have lots of factors in them in any case. But what I would say is I think the government is right to be looking at a growth package, which is what the Chancellor set out on Friday. And I think that's quite assertive and bold and ambitious. And that is what will get us to the right position in the long term, which is greater growth in this country. And that means opportunities and jobs for people, which is, of course, my key focus as the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions.
Now, I want to come to your focus because that's what lots of people are worried about today. But Chris Philp, who was Chief Secretary of the Treasury, effectively Deputy Chancellor to Kwasi Kwarteng, he was very happy to tweet the other day, great to see sterling strengthening on the back of the new UK growth plan. So he was saying that sterling, the price of the pound had gone up, value of the pound had gone up because of what Kwasi Kwarteng had announced. Now the value of sterling has collapsed on the Asian markets and, again, only rallied a tiny bit as the markets have opened in Europe. Can that be blamed on the growth plan as well?
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Julia. I'm not going to add to the commentary on it. As I say, I think any market movement has a number of factors in it, and of course it is really worth reflecting. Some of the issues we see in our economy at present are driven globally. Putin's war in Ukraine and the effect of that on energy prices, obviously. But it's also the case that many other nations around the world are seeing volatility as well in various economic measures. So I'm really not going to comment further at this point on what we're seeing in those.
With all due respect, I understand you're not the Chancellor. I do understand that. But you are a senior member of this government that has supported these major tax and spending announcements on Friday when Kwasi Kwarteng, the Chancellor, announced his mini so-called, actually mega budget. And the pound has slumped to a record low against the dollar. The cost of government borrowing is going sky high. Just in the last, overnight, we have seen the cost of the just covering everyone's domestic energy bills has gone up by 10%. I don't think it's possible for you to not comment.
Well, and the key point is this, Julia, we are on the right path with this package. That is my view.
The markets don't think so.
That is my view, and the substantiation of that will come, I hope, in both the short term and the long term. The short term, of course, for example, you saw the Chancellor announcing a number of key projects and supply-side reforms on Friday, which are all to do with getting growth moving in the economy. And in the longer term, you'll see that combination of tax changes and other reforms coming together to be able to produce sustainable economic growth. And it's that will lead to higher wages, greater opportunities, and of course also sustainable funding for public services.
OK, how did cutting the tax rate for millionaires from 45% to 40% help boost growth?
Because that measure, alongside the other measures in the package, is all about encouraging businesses to be able to be here in this country and indeed also paying taxes in this country. I'd far rather that higher earners actually are paying their taxes in Britain, in London, or indeed in Norwich or in Edinburgh or in Belfast, rather than in Paris or New York or elsewhere. And so what you saw there in the Chancellor's package was a number of measures that are all about that, but also, at the same time, measures that are about ensuring that everybody benefits. And, for example, you see a cut in the basic rate of income tax as well. And in addition to that, the shift in national insurance, which will benefit millions of households and indeed thousands of businesses up and down the land, again, which all comes back to higher wages and job opportunities.
you were in a government that voted for that, though, weren't you? I mean, the thing is, what businesses were crying out for was business rates to be cut, VAT to be cut. We didn't see that. That's what's actually going to help businesses who, yes, they may very well welcome corporation tax remaining at the level it is now, a lower rate than would be put up by under Rishi Sunak's plan. But first of all, they'd like to break even before they make a profit and have to pay those taxes.
And this is why we've taken really broad-based action to help both businesses and households with energy costs in the immediate term, because, of course, that's what's driving a great amount of volatility and uncertainty. And so I think it's absolutely right that that is the first action. And then what you see in the Chancellor's growth package is a set of tax reforms and also other supply-side reforms, which will give businesses many more opportunities. I mean, for example, 900,000 small firms and large across the country stand to benefit from the national insurance cut. Now, that actually could be 1,000 firms in my constituency. It could be 1,000 firms wherever it is that you live, Julia. And that's really significant and is real for businesses.
OK. Let's talk about your particular area of responsibility as Work and Pensions Secretary. We've seen at the bottom end of the, talking about the top end there, the 45% tax rate payers, people at the bottom end on universal credit. You're announcing today what you call more support for people who are on universal credit to get one-on-one time with a work coach. Talk us through that.
Yes, that's right, Julia. This is a significant measure, and what you're seeing from today is that over 100,000 people on universal credit will be able to get more support to increase their pay through more one-on-one time with a work coach. And these are, of course, our staff in job centres up and down the country. And actually, my very next meeting is to go and chat to some of them in one of our nearby job centres. And this is all about workers on low incomes being able to earn more while still receiving that support. And I think this is really important at a time when people are quite understandably anxious about costs and prices and income, and this is a really important way to help people with that.
I mean, a lot of people are going to support the idea that people should be supported back into work, but also the idea, and it was announced in the week last week, that you've got people who are working 2 days a week maximum, who are not being forced to actually make more effort to get more hours and work full-time when we've got a massive shortage of labour. Is there any excuse for anyone who is able-bodied in this country not to be working full-time and receiving taxpayers' help?
Well, it's certainly the case that we have a near record number of vacancies, and what I want to do is help British businesses to fill those vacancies, because that is how we get growth and, of course, as you say, get people into jobs in this country. So opportunity is out there in a very big way, in a very widespread way across the country. And what we've got to do is to support people to go into those jobs, to increase their hours, or indeed increase their wage per hour. And all of that is about people getting sustainable support and growing the economy, and that is the driving force of the government.
One final question, very briefly, Chloe Smith. Are you comfortable with the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Mark Fulbrook, being paid through his lobbying company as opposed to being given a temporary civil service contract, as everyone who's done that job in Number 10 has previously had?
Well, I am comfortable with the fact that I understand that all the right processes have been followed in this case. I don't have a great deal more detail on this situation than what has already been explained by the Cabinet Office on behalf of Mr. Fulbrook. But the point is, we do have robust processes in place to deal with this kind of situation, and I understand those have all been correctly followed.
OK, well, we're going to talk more about it in a few moments. Work and Pensions Secretary Chloe Smith, thank you very much indeed for joining us.